I'm Bjorn from In Flames, here to chat a little bit about our new album, Foregone, which we drop in, what is it like? For me, it's now 10 days, I think, 10th of February. So, yeah, excited.
Cool. Only 9 days on this side of the world, mate, so we get it before you do.
You do, that's true.
Beautiful. As you mentioned, bro, In Flames release your 14-inch studio album Foregone on February the 10th. So how are you feeling about it, first and foremost?
It feels really, really good. It was an album we didn't plan on making. We were still touring on Hide the Mask, so it was just a happy little bonus that we got. Well, I wouldn't say happy, but the whole pandemic thing happened. But throughout that, I felt absolutely useless, and this is like the light at the end of the tunnel was making a record. So, and it turned out great. So, if there's anything positive coming out of it for our part, it's this album. So yeah, we're super excited.
Oh. So tell us a bit about the album from a musical point of view, mate, and what you were going for with it.
Well, I think we have over the years found our way of writing, and our sources of inspiration have been pretty much the same. It's what we listened to growing up, and what we learned throughout the years making all these albums and playing all these shows. So we're pretty confident when it comes to writing. What we did want to do this time was expand the sound a bit and make it sound maybe a bit more metal than we have the last couple of efforts. And we've been super proud of each and every one. I especially love how Hide the Mask sounds. It's a lot of guitar. I'm a guitar player, so for me it's fantastic to hear like all the details in the guitar playing, obviously. But it's leaning a little bit towards the rock sound. So this time around we wanted to have it more metal-y, maybe even towards death metal in a way. And I think it sheds a new light on the riffing and the melodies. And I think it suits the songs extremely well. And it turned out to be a very massive album, and we love it.
Yeah, cool. And so far you've released the singles Meet Your Maker, Foregone Part 1 and Foregone Part 2, mate. So would you say overall they're a good sonic representation of the album as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's a good mix. The Foregone 1 and 2 are very different songs, but they're both kind of part of the same idea, if you will. We had State of Slow Decay as well. And that's more of a typical, if you will, Gothenburg heavier riff-based song. And it was fun to release that first, because we didn't really announce that we had recorded or anything, and all of a sudden we just released that one, and it was quite interesting reactions to that one. But it's a song that we felt really early on that we wanted to play live in our set, so we just figured like, to hell with it, you know, we just put it out and see what people say, and we love playing it, so it's really nice. But I think in general, yeah, we have a pretty good representation. We've released 4 or 5 singles so far, or 4 or 5 songs. We don't write singles, but they inevitably are called singles because they're released as one-offs. But they're all part of an album, which is what we write. Yeah,
sure. Tell us a bit more about Foregone Part 1 and Part 2, mate. Like, why spread the story over 2 parts to a song?
Well, I can speak a little bit musically about it. So the whole point with Foregone was that musically I wanted to be like a pretty long journey. I wanted it to have a lot of different elements in it. So it was actually meant to be a 3 or almost 4-part song. Now it ended up being a 2-part song because we figured that was enough, and it actually showcases or has everything in it that we need, right? So, but there was like an acoustic part in the middle, and then it was a little bit into more ambient and atmospheric sounding stuff, and then back into what you hear is Foregone Part 1. So they were actually opposite in the beginning. It's a little bit of a mix and match here, but it was all in order to get the flow right of the album. So I mentioned before, we make albums. We don't make singles. We wouldn't know what you know should be a single or not. It's something you just pick and choose one from the album. So we need to have that flow going through from song 1 all the way to the last song, and yeah, we had to do some rearranging there, and then it just fits really, really well. But it turned out to be a great little experiment, and songs that are extremely fun to play live.
And this is your second album with bass player Bryce Paul and drummer Tanner Wayne, mate. So how are those two settling into the band?
Oh, they're fantastic. It's an incredible rhythm section, and especially live, and that's where we spend most of the time, is on a stage, and that's where it really counts, because there's really no do-overs. So it's an extremely solid foundation to everything that we do, and extremely talented musicians, and really prepared, and really enjoying the live part of things. And so, yeah, of course, and with the addition of now Kris Broderick as well, I think that we have the best lineup we've had so far, and that's not casting any shadow on previous members, because they've all been fantastic. But I think these guys just brought that little extra that we didn't even know existed. So it's an absolute pleasure playing live with this lineup. I don't think we ever sounded better. So I'm very happy about the situation. Yeah.
So, like, we'll take the situation with Kris Broderick coming into the band on guitar, mate. Like, when you get someone like that come in, do you encourage them to bring their own sort of personality and put it into the music with you, or do you sort of want them to fit in with the In Flames formula, I guess?
Well, after having done, now this was the 14th album, I think that we've sort of have a sound. I wouldn't worry too much about that. So I don't think that we needed any of that. What we want is people that are into what we're doing, that understand what we're doing, and fit socially in with the rest of the guys. It's always about that. We spend so much time together, and when Niklas was playing guitar before Kris here, when he couldn't tour, we were put in a pretty weird position. The crew was already basically on the tour. We were just waiting another 2 days for Nick, and he couldn't show up, and then he didn't show up. So we were wondering how to do this tour, and Kris Broderick's name came up, and he was available, and we were just so stoked and happy. I've known Kris for 20 years, and I know exactly how good of a guitar player he is. And he still continues to surprise me how good he is. So having him in for 2 days or 3 days rehearsing, and then knowing 20 songs plus for a tour, we knew that's going to happen with him. So we're extremely pleased having him in the band.
Hell yeah. And you yourself, mate, have been quoted as saying, we made an aggressive album. We kept the dynamics, some big epic choruses, heavy guitars, lots of kick drums and melodies. That's who we are and who we've always been. Can you elaborate on that a bit for us?
Oh, it's at least where I'm from. I'm from the Florida death metal, anything recorded in Morrisound Studios, basically. I've absolutely loved that, and it had a lot of drums, especially, and a lot of intricate drumming. So that's part of who I am. And growing up with Rainbow, Dio, Van Halen, Priest, Maiden, and all that stuff obviously has made a huge impact on me. So melodies are extremely important for me. And when I joined, I was 18 or 19 when I joined the band. They were, Jesper and Johan and Glenn at the time, they were really into Swedish folk music and stuff. So it's always been a part of In Flames, that kind of sad or melancholic vibe to the melodies and stuff. And it's always attracted me. I always been really intrigued by that, and it fits so well together with the massiveness. And I think that's I think that's what makes it so fun to play, and also for me to listen to, is that contrast between the beautiful melodies and the aggressive drumming and riffing in the background. So it's like, yeah, I think it's who we want to be, and I think we're getting closer to what we're supposed to be.
And yourself and Anders have written together on every album since 1995, mate. So by now, do you have like a set writing process, or does it differ for every album?
I think that's been a very organic development, really. I mean, in the beginning, we were more people involved in the songwriting, and it was more in the rehearsal room, spontaneous. Well, I have this riff, you have that riff, and we just sort of mash them together and try to figure out a song structure around that. But having toured so much as we've done and made so many records, you figure out what's possible in a live environment and what's not, right? And also what's fun to play and what's not so fun to play. So all these things kind of teach you or point you in a direction of writing. And we figured out that we can't really be in Gothenburg or in anywhere in Sweden, because there's too many distractions, friends, families, and things you have to do and all that crap. So the last 3 albums now we've recorded in Los Angeles, which is far enough for anybody to following us, you know. So we're kind of free of it. And also we have Howard Benson, our producer there, and his fantastic team with Mike Plotnikoff and everybody, you know. So it's just, we go there, we rent a house, me and Anders, live together, cook, drink beer, and write music. Basically, that's all we do, you know. And it fits us really well. Weather's always nice. You don't need to worry about the absolutely pissy weather we have here in Sweden at the moment. Nothing like it. You just walk out and take a half-hour walk in the morning, and then you sit down, have your coffee, and start working on awesome music. You know, it can't be better. No distractions, and so it's slowly but surely led up to this way of writing and sitting down. It feels good having just me and Anders there, at least when you're trying to iron out the first couple ideas and stuff, and then we start involving Howard and sort of using him as a filter or a wall to bounce ideas off of, and he's really, really good at that. And then obviously when all the music is done, I do all the demos and everything. We put some vocals on there, the basic ideas like rough sketches and everything, and that's one thing that as soon as you start recording, everybody's input is extremely important. The way Tanner plays, the way Bryce plays together with Tanner, all these things are extremely important for how the album actually turns out. So it has similarities to the demos, but it obviously evolves even further when these extremely talented musicians have their thing put on there.
And over the course of your career, mate, like the sound of In Flames has undergone several changes over different albums with the varying use of melodies, synths, prominent clean vocals. There's been groove, arena rock, metalcore, to name a few. So are these changes planned and discussed leading into each album, or are they sort of more dictated as you write?
In all honesty, I think most of these things are spur of the moment kind of things. It's like what we really think fits the song. It's all, in the end, might sound a little egotistical, but in the end we understood that we can only write for ourselves. We can't really aim for everybody's taste, right? It's really, really difficult. So what we do is try to figure out what we want to hear, and later on obviously what we want to play. So we've always gone with that feeling, like it's up to us if we like it or not. And that could lead us into all sorts of different territories. The beauty with that is that we're writing for ourselves, which means that there's few no-nos, if you will. We can do almost whatever we want, you know, as long as it fits into you know, our particular taste. That's really what it is, and it's for good or bad. But I mean, in the end, you will have people that don't like it, and then you will have people that like it. You lose some and you win some. But what we've noticed is that in the end, in the long run, we're still doing it because we've done what we want to do, and not because, you know, somebody else forced us into do something, or we thought that we were not pleasing somebody. You know, in the end, we've been having a lot of fun for a long, long time doing this, and now we sound better than ever. So, and that's got to be a receipt, or like a receipt on what we did was the right thing, you know. So yeah, that's how it is.
All right. And have you got much of a touring schedule planned after the release of the album? Gonna be doing a big launch?
Well, not really a huge launch. We just came off an extremely busy year for being straight out of COVID. So we're having a little bit of time off here and doing a little bit of press, as we're doing right now, up until the release of the record. And then we actually have Australia coming up. That's some of the first shows that we do, and really, really looking forward to that. We almost made it to Australia right before the pandemic. We came to New Zealand for a quick lunch and then had to fly back because the countries were closing down. It was a long way for a lunch. But so this time around, we're actually going to make it. It's the Knotfest shows in Australia, so that's going to be really, really fun. And after that, more touring coming up, and festival seasons almost around the corner. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's good, mate. I think we'll be doing backstage interviews at Knotfest in Brisbane, so hopefully we get to catch up and have a beer and have another chat.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Okay, brother. Well, thanks very much for your time, Bjorn. Foregone is out on February the 10th, and I can tell everyone out there she is an absolute cracker of an album, mate. So congratulations. Well done. And Australia can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, same here. I can't wait to be back there. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries, brother. You take care, mate.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.